Hi guys. So JavaScript is the foundation of interactive websites. Today we're gonna touch some basics about JavaScript, and afterwards we're gonna go into object-oriented programming and functional programming so we can understand the differences between the two. We're gonna do that by just building a simple calculator. And yeah, if you are interested in learning, just like, share and subscribe for more videos. Right, let's go. To make it easier to learn this, I will just suggest you guys do the same as I do. So first, we need to build index.html. So we want to have an HTML file. We want to be building any kind of style sheet, so we won't need CSS. And afterwards, we're gonna build with main.javascript. So after we do this, we just create HTML5. So we have all of those informations here to actually have a proper HTML. And afterwards, we come down here and just import the script. So we do this source main.javascript. As you can see, this is the basics of what we need. I will also add a h1 hello world. And yeah, I would recommend, if you're using VS Code, just also go and come to the extensions and search for live server, because this is what we're gonna use here. It's just gonna, whenever you are doing any kind of changes in the HTML, it's gonna just show that in the website. So after you have this installed, you just go back to the object here and you open with live server. Right click and open with live server, and that should open it like here. Okay, good. And what we're gonna do now to know that the JavaScript is working properly is we're gonna go back to the JavaScript and just say console.log hello world. Okay, it's showing here. It means that it's connected to the HTML. All right. Okay, now let's remove this and let's talk the basics of types. So I'm gonna just create some types. Const test is hello world. This one is a string. And if you want, yeah, I'll autocomplete because it's simpler. We can also have numbers. We can also have booleans, which is basically true or false. We can also have arrays of numbers or anything that we want to add, so the arrays are bigger. But just one thing, if you console log this is the test4, watch this. So you have the object here and you have the array here. This is not type of array, this is gonna be type of object. So if we go back to this one, you're gonna see string, number, boolean, object. That's something important about JavaScript, is that arrays are actually objects within this. Okay, so this is just some basics types. And what you're gonna work like in the future is you're gonna have those and you're gonna add them to the HTML. So you are gonna use some DOM manipulation for that. But before going into that, let's go into test4. And maybe we want to add something to the array. So basically we do the push 100, and when I console log to this one, you're gonna see it's gonna be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 100. So basically we're pushing. We can also have like on shift to this one, and if we do on shift, it's gonna push it to the first number of the array. And within this array, if we are to query for that, or maybe just console log like it is here, if you want to go to the first value from here, you're gonna just do a 0. So basically that's gonna show you the first value. You can also go with 1 and the rest is gonna show the rest items. If you go with 9 or something like that, it's gonna show undefined because there is no definition of items in there. Okay, as you noticed, we are starting the counter from 0, not from 1, because that's how programming works. And yeah, this is working with some simple arrays to just add on the first part and the last part. And we can also, what you're gonna find in the future on many, when you want to call an API or have some data, is that you're gonna have an array of objects. So basically it's object array. It's gonna be like this, and you're gonna have objects within that. And you, yeah, let's say we're gonna have two people here. So we have John, and it is gonna have age of 20, and we also have Jane, and it's gonna have an age of 21. Okay, and as you can see here, we can also go into that, and we're querying for the first item. So we have the 0, and with the name, it's just gonna take this value here. So this is an object with a key value pair. Okay, Alright, so I added some more items into the array. If we are to query for this one, it's just gonna show the proper one. So basically it's John here. Let's actually build something with this. Not that const test function. Let's retrieve age lower than. Okay, so we're just gonna add this is a function that basically is gonna take a parameter, and the parameter is this, the age. And what I want to do with this is that I go to the object, which is the object array, which is this one, and we want to filter this to take the person is basically each one of these objects. So we can name it whatever. We have person here, we can name it context or whatever. It's gonna use this is the information, and from that it's gonna query and check the age, and it's gonna check if the age is lower than the age we are putting in there. So basically if I am to console log retrieve age lower than and put it 22, we're gonna supposedly see the age 20 and 21, so Jane and John. So let's check that. Yeah, we have two objects here, and you can see its name, it has the age 20, Jane and John. And we can also do another example function, but let's actually go with add here is married. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, check. Good. So basically we are gonna have another function that is gonna do the same, but it's just gonna take the object array is filter and then add the context and check if it's married or not. Okay, now I want it to actually, yeah, I don't think I need to add anything here because it's just gonna check for true. So if I go back here, we're gonna have Jane and Smith. Those two are married. Okay, so this is how you can create functions. You can also write function retrieve lower. So this is not such a big difference between them. You can use whatever. One important thing to note is that the information from here, those are using a constants, and you can also have let like this. Those items will be hoisted. I'm not gonna talk about hoisting, but you can search it up. Okay, and one important thing to note is that I am to create within this object another, let's say let result is this one. I cannot call it into here. So if I console.log and I check for result and I put it even under, it's not gonna work. It's basically gonna say reference result is not defined because this is block scoped. So basically what you're expecting if you create an object or anything, a variable, you need to actually have it block scoped. So if I go back here and console log the result, it's gonna show an empty array when I am using that one. I need to use the retrieve lower than 22. Okay, so you see this is the one, and let's make it look better. Result. This is the result with the information. Okay, those are some basics. So let's go with how to do the DOM manipulation now. Alright, so now let's remove everything and start anew. So basically we're also gonna open the index, and we're gonna use this because we now need to learn about DOM manipulation. Firstly, what is the DOM? The DOM is basically this object. When you are gonna enter any kind of websites, if you inspect or view the page source, you're gonna see this. This is the object document model. To actually see it better, you can just do console.log, actually console.dir document. Okay, and this is a better representation of what the document is. You're gonna see a lot of data by using the console.dir, and you're gonna see we have the URL, we have some active elements, which is the basic, the body, which is the starting point of everything that we do. This is for meta tags and other stuff. You have the base URI. You can see here the collections of the HTML that are already implemented within that. We have the meta tags, the head, the script, the body, the h1 from here, and everything. Okay, you can look into this. You're gonna also see the domain and everything else. Yeah, you can also see the actions that you can add stuff to it if you want. And yeah, just check it out, look into that. Good. Afterwards, after you saw that DOM, let's so we have here one element, which is the h1. We can just do this part is like we are creating a variable, a constant variable, which is h1 title. Let's name it title. So that what it's gonna do is gonna do the document query selector. We can do this. You can also do query selector all if there are more. Let's just leave query selector, but I also give like an example of how to do the other ones. Well, I'm just gonna do a list, item 1, yeah, 2, 3, 4, perfect. Okay, so with that const list is document query selector all, and we're just gonna check for the list. And let's, instead of doing anything to them, we'll just console.log the list and console.log the title. Okay, so when you go back here, well, you can do this, and we're gonna see the items that are queried by using the console.log all. It's important that that is gonna check for multiple objects in the DOM, and the query selector is just gonna check for one. And this is one direction. You can also go into the direction of having like a division with a class container, and we come here, and instead of you can use the query selector to get with the dot here, so we have the container, or query, so get, you can also do get elements by class name, and when you do this you just remove the dot here, so basically it's gonna look the same. Let me also add the console log for the container here. Okay, so after I added that, you can see here is the collection, HTML collection, and it's only this one, but if we are to have multiple classes, it's gonna query for those as well, so you can have them like this. And 1 second. Okay, now since you have this, you can see it's 2 items here. This is an HTML collection, this is a node list, so that's a little bit different from how it's gonna query the items. Okay, so we have those, and now let's try and manipulate this. Manipulation is just basically updating the content, changing colors. You can do whatever you want, the same things that you just imagine like this, whatever you can do manually into this, like if you want to come here and add style to be color red, and that will basically create the color red here. You can also do that with JavaScript, so you just come here into, you have the title.style.color, and let's make it blue now, blue, and it's gonna take the blue one because it's JavaScript being loaded. After this has loaded, it will overwrite whatever is in here. So basically you can modify the DOM with the JavaScript. You can add the color blue. You can also add, like, let's say style background color, and it's gonna have a red background color, and all of this. If you want to see what you can do, how I learned in the past is that I, instead of console log for the title, I console dir title, and by doing this I can go here and look about all of the properties of that element, and within that I can see I have attribute style map, I have attributes, and within the attributes I have the style, and the style has all sorts of things, like I have here the node value, which is the color, the background, and everything. And besides this, let's say if you also want to edit the content, you can do title that I think it was not class list. We can modify the classes if you want, but we want to text content, yeah, to modify the content within that, which will be hello from JavaScript. Okay, and if we save this, we see that it's hello from JavaScript. So that's how you manipulate just simple items. Okay, now let's remove this and let's try to build a calculator. And for a calculator, it's gonna be pretty simple. We're gonna just create a division, and instead of a class, I just want to build an ID, and it's gonna be calculator container. Okay, let's just name it calculator. That's right, yeah, I think that's okay. So now we do const calculator, and we're gonna use the get element by id, similar to get element by class, and we're gonna use just get element by id. And again, we don't need to use this one, the hashtag is if you do the query selector, this is gonna use the hashtag, but since we're just using get element by id, we can just scrape this. Okay, console.log calculator, so we can see this. Okay, I need to save this as well. I think, yeah, I didn't name it properly. Okay, now we have this. We can query for the object in this place. Now let's add what a calculator needs. First, let's name it calculator. Yes, we need an input. I don't think we need, actually no, we need those two. Let's add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and clear. Okay, let's just do that. I'm just gonna leave AI to help me with the layouts and the buttons. Okay, we need the result, and the result is, no, we don't need the history, but we need a division, which is history list. No, we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna show the result and span. And within this span, whoop, not like that. This guy, result value, good. Instead of span here, we just do the P. Okay. So now we're gonna have it like this. We have the first number and we have the second number, and we should add, we should subtract, we should multiply, we should divide, and then we shall clear. Okay, but the clear actually it's useless. Let's not do that. Okay, so now since we have those, we can do we can check for each kind of item from here with the ID if we want to do that. So let's do just that. Const first is the input 1, input 2, add, subtract, divide, result. Yes, result value, so it's all of those. All right, so now we can take the object, which is the add, and then we add an event listener, which it will be on click. So basically we're expecting to click on the object for it to work. And after we do this, let's close this, go down, we take the input 1 value, so basically, yeah, value 1, value 2, and we add, because this is the add event. And basically what it's gonna do is it takes the value of the first input, which is this one, just enter the first number, and the second input, which is the second number, and it's gonna take the value, so whatever you put inside that input, and then it's gonna show the result, which is value 1 plus value 2, and then it's gonna go to the result value, text content, and it's gonna show the result itself. This is the result value. Let's see it in action. So basically we go back here, 10, 20, as you can see, it's not working properly because it's adding it as a string. So what we need to do here is to go back to the cursor here, and we need to make sure that this is parse float. Okay, so basically now what this does is takes the value from within those two inputs and does another check. If it's a string, then it's going to convert it to a float. Parse int, actually, let's just do parse int. Floats are for when you have numbers with a dot or stuff like that. We won't do that part. Okay, so now let's try again. 10, 20, and we press add, and now it's working. If we are to change this to, let's say, 103, it's gonna show 1, 2, 3. Okay, and you see it's gonna work like this. Good. Now if you want to add the other events, we can go with subtract, which basically it should remove from that one, so it's a minus. As you can see, it's also going to use the parse int. Then we have the multiply, and then we're going to have the divide. So it's pretty simple, and as you can see, it's always the same. You have the first value, the second value, and you need to parse the data to actually be the proper type. And after it is an integer, it's gonna just divide, multiply, subtract, or add. Okay, so let's see it in action. We can go here, 10, 20, it's 30. If you do a subtract, it's minus 10. If you do a multiply, it's 200. And if you do a divide, it's 0.5. All right. So this is how you just go to the document. You see the elements, you see the IDs and what it has, and then you just query for those in JavaScript, and you add some events to those. So basically, you can modify the document object model by just adding events and having them work around. All right. Now let's just build the OOP site. So we come here and name it OOP, and we rename this into op.js, and we open it here so it's simpler to see. So we need to remove everything and just have it named class calculator, and we're gonna have a constructor, and within the constructor, no, we don't want to have this. We're just gonna add it simpler. So basically we have all of the elements similar to how it is on the main.js, as you can see here. So basically we're doing the same like this, but it's just gonna be a class. And after we add this, I also want the buttons to have the event listeners to those. And as you can see, this also added some functions. If I am right now to console.dir, because we want to see more information about the calculator, we can see here the class calculator with the prototype and just the constructor. But we might want to add the rest of the functions because we need those. So what we do is we go and see what those functions did. And let's start with handle add, which basically adds. We have the parse int, then we have the handle subtract, handle multiply, and handle divide. Okay, so we have all of those. And now if we still have the console.dir, when we go back and we look into this, if you check for the prototype, you're gonna see that you also have the new functions that we added. Now after we added this, we just need to actually initialize the class. So let's say const calculator is a new calculator. Okay, we don't have anything else within this. So this is add button. We can do this if we want. Yeah, actually let's just do this. So basically we remove all of this and do init. So we have an initialize method, and after we do this, when you come back here down, we're gonna do the calculator.init, and when this runs, what basically happens is you have the calculator. You can use this on whatever page you want. You just have all of the data in the constructor with the rest of the methods, which is the handle multiply, subtract, add, divide, and you also need to init it so that you can attribute to those elements that are in the create an event. So it should be working. Okay, let's check. 2020 add, yeah, it's working. Subtract 0, good. Multiply 400, divide 1. Okay, so it's working perfectly. One next step that we can do into this is the power of OP here is if you want to create the calculator with another kind of name. So basically you don't want to use those necessary items from the index. So maybe they are named differently. Maybe they have different IDs. So how we're gonna work with that is in the constructor. We're gonna name input 1 and everything. So basically we have them like variables, like properties of the calculator, and within the new calculator we just add here document element by ID. So basically we can, when we create a new calculator, we can just take the elements from here and add it just in this function, and it should be working properly. Let's check. Yep, so it's working. And now if I am to change, let's say the ID here, first number and second number, when I go back here and I just change the first number and the second number, it's going to work the same. So we have 50, 20, add, subtract, multiply, divide. Okay, this is how you can build it with OOP. But now let's go and see how we can build it with functional programming. Actually, it's just building some functions, but yeah, let's go and work on that. All right, so to start with the functional side, let's just create a new one, functional. And if I go here, I just need to rename it to functional so that we can see. Let's open it here. Basically we have this one, we remove everything again, and now this is gonna be very similar to what we did in this part. This is also functional, but the difference is we're gonna make it a little bit better. So we're gonna have a constant init calculator, and within that, this is very similar. We're gonna check for the inputs, but we don't want the calculator here, and we don't want the result. Okay, so we want all of those. And we could also do here like add event listener, but actually let's do another function. So const, we have the handle add, calculate. Okay, so we have the operation here. And besides this, the calculate will take like the operation, and we're just gonna make the events a little bit cleaner. And we can add here, like as you can see, we have the object add, and we can add an event listener to that and also have the calculate. But maybe I want to go a little bit further. So we take all of the elements, yeah, and we have this like add 2, subtract 2. So basically we have the operations here, but instead of this, we just do handle add, and then we have handle subtract and everything. And now we're just gonna have within the operation, we have these operations that we also have a calculate within this, and we just add the event listeners to whichever component we want. So basically now we're gonna have the add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and this looks much cleaner. Besides this, we're also gonna do the parameters like we did in the class. So instead of just having here the actually, let's see it in action first. Okay, as you can see, it's still working, is the same, but instead of using instead of taking the elements by D here, we're just gonna add it within the function here. So basically we're gonna remove everything, and now it's gonna be much cleaner, but we need to add it inside this place. But this is wrong, because this needs to be document get element by IDs. So basically now if I'm to do the same, if I'm to change anything in the front end, it's gonna work. Like let's say I change this another number, and if I go here and say another number, it's still gonna work, as you can see. Yeah, so let's put it side by side. So basically you have this is the starting point where it's very simple. You just get the elements and you add an event to that, and you also have the results and the calculation in that. But if you go to the OP one, you have the constructor where you can also put the parameters by just creating a new calculator here, and also initializing that with the method that it has. Here are the methods, and into this part I think like the functional is looking a little bit better, because I understand this a lot more. And yeah, and one more thing to add, like the differences between the two. This is very good for small and mid projects, let's say, because it's just easier to see within your components what you need to do right there. And when you go to frameworks like React or Vue or anything else, you're gonna see this much more often, because you just have encapsulated components and they are isolated, and you have some functions within them, and this is like the way the components will look like when you work with them. But that's with JSX. I'm gonna show that in the future. And the classes are very good. I don't necessarily work with them very often, but that's with JavaScript. I work with PHP and others, and I work very often with this. This is overkill for small projects. I believe like classes are very good, and OP is very good when you have like very big complex projects that you want to maintain long term. But yeah, that's quite the difference, and we will be discussing more about those implementations when we get to the frameworks themselves. Alright, so into this video we discussed a little bit about JavaScript, we went into the basics, and then we just constructed a calculator with that. Afterwards we also learned a little bit about object-oriented programming and functional programming. I suggest you guys go around and do the same as I did, test it, and go and research about the DOM and how those approaches work and where. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, like, share and subscribe, and see you next time.